and in this short video, I'm going to talk to you about how did I improve the Bangalore Stockist profitability early in my career in Hindustan Unilever in 1983, way back then. So this was the first key task assigned to me by as an area sales manager. Uh, Soaps and detergents when I became area sales manager in August 1982. My immediate boss, Arun Adhikari, who was the branch sales manager, briefed me that the Bangalore stockist the network is about to collapse due to poor profitability. The profitability is not good enough, and all the stockists want to resign and go on to do business with some other companies. Now, so we looked at what made this profitability poor. The stockists used to get a 5% margin on all the products, and this business was whole profitable because they used to spend about 2.5% out of that and keep 2.5%, and that was good enough for them to continue to make good profit. Now this was the case till April 1982, when the government of Karnataka introduced a turnover tax, an additional tax. Normally, these taxes would get built in the prices and passed on to consumer, and the stockists would be still continuing to enjoy the 5% minus 2.5%, 2.5% net margin. But this time, this tax was different. This was what is called a non-passable tax. We were not legally permitted to build this in our price list, and hence there was a problem that stockists were facing. So, so the stockist margin, which used to be 2.5% from the 5%, came down to almost like 0.5% because the 2% was the turnover tax, and they used to save 2.5% out of 5%, and that got reduced. If you deduct 2%, that got broadly to 0.5%. So, and simultaneously, the stockists used to keep 4 weeks of stock inventory and used to give 2 weeks of credit in the market. So, on a 6 weeks investment and earning only 0.5% was obviously no deal. So, what did we do? So, we went about looking at how to reduce the cost of the stockist. So, first was obviously to try and cut the discounts. Of the 2.5% that the stockists used to give in the market or spend, roughly 1% was spent on giving discounts to the wholesalers and retailers. So that was the first thing that we kind of attacked and said, why don't we reduce this? And we stopped giving the discounts. And the reason being that government is taking 2% away, and hence we can't afford to give. So that was the first step. Now that would have raised the stockist margin from 0.5% to best of about 1.5%. We were still had a gap of about 1%. So we looked at more cost, and we found that sales and distribution could be another area that could be optimized and reduce the cost. We could keep lesser number. We could drop the distribution frequency in terms of vans coverage, in terms of the salespeople visiting very frequently. Most of the routes were that time covered on a weekly basis, and we realized that that was not the required level. We could get away comfortably with the customer satisfaction not dropping at all to fortnightly calls, except some wholesalers, which could be managed on a weekly basis. So we dropped those sales and distribution cost, and that reduced our cost by another 0.5%, not exactly entire way. So we could drop that, and hence our total stockist margin, net cost after the cost increased to roughly about 2%. So, but the stockists were still saying, hey, but this still doesn't come back to the original profitability. So we looked at other areas, and we found that the inventory and the credit could also offer the opportunity for reducing cost. So there was no need for the Bangalore stock especially to keep 4 weeks inventory because the local depot or the CNFA was in the middle of the town, and we could easily drop the inventory to almost a week and also reduce the credit in the market to a week and reduce the total investment of the stock from 6 weeks to 4 weeks. And a 4 weeks reduction in investment at those times with 10 to 12% interest reduce the cost by another 1%. So with these three major initiatives that took us some time to implement, but we were able to communicate to the stockists, tell them this is our plan is, and that brought some confidence back in the stockists to continue working with us and give us a try. And the rest is history. We have continued, I continued to work till 85 as a area sales manager for Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, Rayalaseema, and we continue to have the same stockists continue working with us with the revised trading terms.